Bungie Mum. And last but not least, Bungie.
You're reading this and can't get through it? You are actually reading this and can't get through it.
Bungie Mumbanambi. I can't get it. 2 tries in a match where his teammates. And last but not least, Bungie and
No pressure, Matt. No pressure, Matt.
Bungie Mbanambi.
It's the charm, Matt. Let's go.
Bedtime. Miss Umpanangi's boy.
And last but not least, Bungie Mbanambi with 2 tries in a match where his teammates, Khaleesi, was rested.
Mbanambi's boy.
2 tries in a match where teammates.
This and you
Shut up!
You literally are reading this and you can't get
in a match where key teammates Natsabeth was still out with injury.
For the 7th time.
Oh, yeah. This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? Thank you, but put those applause in your pockets because we were poop. And so we beat on. Boats against the current. Borne back ceaselessly into the past. But we have the return of John Bradshaw Layfield, the WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words, Mike Friday, the world-renowned sevens coach, and Irish rugby legend George Hook. And why are they here? Look on that Your Company name here, Slate, and you'll see why. Gentlemen, not a good week. Collective 25 and 27. We let our fans down by not doing a good enough job. But there was a bright light, and that was the light that is Mike Friday, who was 8 and 5 this week, defying the odds. And Mike, I mocked you about picking Newcastle. Newcastle somehow covers that 21 points.
But yeah, by 1 point. Fair play the spread.
By 1 point.
Fair play the spread.
You look like a genius and turned our week around with that pick.
Massive. With the Ospreys. Massive.
Unbelievable. Gift, you're looking up. What are you thinking?
This time period, this December to now, maybe a little bit entering into February, this is the worst predictive time because it's too many games across too many different platforms. We had Exeter beat the Saracens. That's not real. The Falcons won a game. Come on now. It's not a real season. Don't worry about the predictions on this one because these aren't real games. Nobody's playing their starters when they need to, except for the worst possible teams.
Bam!
John, you want to follow that up?
Yeah, because I want to mock you for looking like a turtle without its shell.
Really not. That's not nice.
Buffalo Bills are the football version of Irish rugby. They can't win a championship. It's unbelievable. Irish rugby is somehow get contagious into the NFL. And by the way, Ireland just got mollywopped by Italy. Mollywopped.
He's talking about Ulster, ladies and gentlemen. He's not talking about Ireland.
I just said Ulster. Ulster, Ireland got mollywopped by Italy.
Zebre,
Italy
not
showed
Italy.
up. They had this right here. They had a right foot, and they had it taped because they broke it off in Ireland.
He's talking about the Ulster versus Zebre match, in which Zebre won for the first time in their history in Belfast. And you know what? Ulster had a good side. They had no excuses.
What great astute analysis.
You're attacking me, and yet off camera, I complimented you on your WWE.
Don't try to suck up now.
On Netflix, you were very good, and it really pains me to say that because Layfield. You got to learn how to accept a compliment, John. I was complimenting you, and you just glossed right. Like,
how do you know a turtle without a shell is necessarily ugly?
Good point. It's a very good point. I'll take that as a compliment. All right.
It was not a compliment, but you don't know.
We don't have time for this. We have to get to our business here. And our business right now is the URC.
50-1, by the way. Zebre was 50-1 underdogs.
And rightfully so. But let's get to our URC Player of the Week because something tells me that we're going to tie it back in. And why is that? Because number 9, Gonzalo Garcia, the 12-time Puma, was consistently in motion, keeping Ulster on the back foot. His nifty passes in the 46th minute and 49th minute spur the upset of Ulster in Belfast, the first time Zebre has won there. Our next nominee, Ospreys ageless number 7, Justin Tipperick. perhaps realizing his playing career is drawing to a close. Actually, it is drawing to a close. Put flight and fight under his fellow Ospreys' wings, playing a big part in their annihilation of Bad Bet Benetton. And last but not least, Bungi Ambanambi, 2 tries in a match where Khaleesi was out being rested, Etzebeth was still out with injury, but the rolling piano/hooker literally led from the front in a much-needed points grab on the road for the Sharks. John, who do you like?
Garcia, he is a modern-day St. Patty. He showed up to Emerald. He didn't get rid of the snakes. He got rid of all the rugby players. Long Viva Italia!
Gift?
Logically, I'm going Gonzalez Garcia, but my real vote right now, so that you have to say it, is Bungi Mambanambi. So that you
Bungi Mambanambi. What's the problem? Bungi Mambanambi. You me to close my eyes and say Bungi Mambanambi. All right. All right. Mike, who's your pick?
I'm going for the Welshman, Tipperick. Ospreys did a proper job on the eye ties, Benetton.
Good pick. Well, I'm going to break the tie again. I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Gonzalo Garcia. It's a one time. They've never won in Ulster. You got to give him credit. He was all over the pitch. And on to the Premiership Player of the Week. The nominees are Bristol's Cavalete Ravuvu. Scored 2 key tries, and at 6'1" and 14 stone 11 was a menace on both sides of the ball. Tom Pearson of the Saints, once again, the open-sized flanker, stood out even in a loss. He's got to get some notice from Steve Borthwick and England eventually, Mike. And Tom Wyatt, the fullback for beleaguered Exeter, Gift's team, had a burner of a match, knocking off a depleted Saracens for just their second win of the season. John, who's your pick?
Ravuvu. I ain't betting on the other 2 guys. One beat a depleted team, one team lost. I ain't going with either one of those guys. Give me Ravuvu.
Gift.
That was basically the logic I was going with. I'm tired of us putting in losers as our players of the week. It just doesn't make any sense. You can't do both, right? Like, you can't play well and lose. So yeah, we got to go Calavetti Ravovo. And you're right. Tom Wyatt would have been the other one, but it's Exeter. And, again, this isn't real rugby right now. So, let's go with the one guy, the one Fijian guy that we know plays regardless of whatever happens.
Okay.
King is kind of like the 96 Bulls. People say, okay, who was the best player on the other team they played? Nobody even remembers who they played because nobody nominates the losing
Plumbers and mechanics, man. Plumbers and mechanics.
All right. Gift and John are both muted, Mike, so that we can get through this segment. Why don't you make your pick now?
I'm with them, the Fijian boy Ravuvu. He was a menace, a proper menace, both sides of the ball. He's the man.
Okay, well, I'm going to make it unanimous, and I'm going to go with Tom Wyatt, the fullback of Exeter. The beleaguered Exeter Chiefs, he was a shining star for them in their victory.
Played the Saracens C team? The guy that played the Saracens C team.
So the winner is...
We know Matt has been trying to wait for the Chiefs to actually get some wins, regardless of...
Calavetti Ravuvu, as Gift has been mic'd, has been...
Gift has been mic'd?
As Gift has been muted yet again. Oh, doctor. Oh, Nelly, no. All right, so we're going to take a break.
Free the king! Free the king!
And we'll be back
Free
after
the king!
George with you guys for more.
Free the king! We protest. 2 Cents Rugby, call us. 2 Cents Rugby, call us.
How you doing? I'm Jim Hamilton. I'm at the Pig and Whistle. I'm at the famous Pig and Whistle. Look, I've got my rucksack on. I'm a well-known man around the world as one of the best rugby players to have ever played the game. No, I'm not. It's a lie. But we've got Paul O'Connell's montage on the wall. I've heard a lot about this place, and I'm here. Make sure, though, that you come here, but you also tune in to Rugby Wrap-Up.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we're back with George Hook for our segment Headlines with Hook. But George, first, before we get into that, how are you and what are you doing?
We survived Friday, which was a major storm. In fact, the worst storm, it is believed, in history, but certainly in my lifetime. We've seen carnage in terms of damage. Another storm is kind of winging its way past us, which in turn means not much golf. What can a guy do if he can't play golf?
He comes on the Rugby Odds and has a segment called
Headlines with Hook.
where I ask the questions and you answer them. Is Tyke Furlong worth the investment, or is it time to move on? Is the RFU getting the bang for the buck out of this guy?
Of the Six Nations, Ireland has the lowest injury count. And the only guy that got hurt is Furlong. Furlong is a prop forward, which even in these days when there are very few scrums, is still a fairly, damaging job.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I mean, the great news is that we've got Dan Sheehan back. Am I willing to trade Furlong for Sheehan? Absolutely.
That's apples and oranges. You got a hooker and a prop and a tight head, and arguably one of the best in the world. I guess the frustration is Furlong is not on the pitch a lot, especially if you're a Leinster fan.
You're more frustrated than we are. This is not a topic of conversation over the rapidly diminishing supplies of Guinness in this part of the world. The loss of Guinness is far more damaging to the Ireland psyche than the loss of the Ireland tight head.
Well, you mentioned the Six Nations. Ireland hosting England. What are your thoughts on this?
Almost to the day, 150 years ago, Ireland played England. First time ever.
Wow.
20 aside, no less, okay? This game, if you forget all the political undertones of 800 years of us and them, this is a huge rugby game. Now, in the odd years, and 2025 is an odd year, we play France and England at home, who arguably are the two best teams we play. So therefore, this is an easier year. To beat England is always a big deal. I mean, I think most Irish people in a worst case scenario would trade beating England and losing to everybody else.
Right.
Also, of course, if we beat England, then we're en route to being champions for 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
This is a huge deal. It's a very big deal.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Aviva only holds, 50,000? And that's not a small number, but why not play it at Croke Park, a much bigger stadium?
Only an American would ask me that question. We don't own Croke Park. We only borrow it from the Gaelic Athletic Association. In this country, rugby is third behind Gaelic games, soccer, and then rugby. So we have to ask the Gaelic Athletic.
Okay, so let's ask them.
Because they got some other matches to play.
All right, but
they consider more important.
Get me the guy's number. I'll call him, or the woman's number. I'll call him and figure this out because I think it would be glorious. All right. Got a different kind of a headline for you. Mr. Smith goes to Hollywood. Marcus Smith and America.
Now, this upsets me, I have to say. Some smart-ass agent thinks he can bring Smith to America and make him a sort of social media superstar, right? By having him in the front row when the Yankees play the Dodgers or whatever the hell you do over there, right? Personally, I think Smith will arrive in America and leave in America without raising a whisper. The most successful social media person in the world is a female and an American.
Ilona Marr.
But that's an American. I don't think you can just bring some number 10 from England and stick him in front of an American audience and say, here he is. I don't think it'll work. I think it's just a smokescreen.
All right. And finally, Six Nations. Will we see it become the Seven Nations anytime soon?
Certainly not. And if you're talking about Seven Nations, it should be Georgia and not South Africa, which I suspect is at the root of your question, right? We've got to keep South Africa out of European rugby for as long as possible. With Zebre beating Ulster this weekend, who knows what Italy might achieve? Champions, Ireland. France 2, England 3, Scotland 4, Wales 5, Italy 6. There you have it.
There you have it. And on that note, that is
Headlines with Hook.
thank you, Mr. George Hook.
Thank you.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. And we're back, and fellas, it's time for Gift's favorite segment.
Grown ass man.
The nominees are Leinster hooker and Mike Friday nominated Dan Sheehan, who returned with a bang and 2 tries after ACL surgery in late July, showing grit and mental fortitude that is severely lacking on this show. Leinster and Springboks lock RJ Snyman, who at 6'9" and 260 pounds, took on 3 would-be Stormers tacklers and still fired off a Pat Mahomes-type bullet to keep Leinster marching on. He also leads the URC in offloads. And then last but not least, Abraham Papali of Castres, the number 8, bleeding into the try zone, smiling after he scores, and just walking on. John, who's your grown-ass man of the week?
Mike Friday, the legendary Hall of Fame coach, picked Dan Sheehan. Who picked the other 2?
Management.
That answers my question right there. I'm going Hall of Fame coach because he knows rugby. Mike Friday's so good, he could be on 2 Cents Rugby.
Gift.
You know, initially I thought Bungo Mambanambi was going to be on this list and I was going to be able to go with it. We're going to put a different hooker and give it to Dan Sheehan because, look, coming off ACL is still a feat, even though ACL injuries are not the same as they were back 20 years ago, but still a feat nonetheless, at least to be able to come back and help the Irish
shorten it up.
less.
Bam! Bam! Don't you tell the king to shorten nothing.
John's been muted again. Gift is muted. Mike, who is your grown-ass man of the week?
Definitely Dan Sheehan. I mean, he's back from ACL with surgery. He's a front row. He's a hooker. In 6 months, that's fast going. 2 tries. Already put his hand up for Ireland this week as well. I mean, that's proper grit. That's proper grown-ass behaviour. So he's my man for sure.
And who am I to argue with greatness? I'm going with the great Mike Friday. I'm making it unanimous.
Then why did you even have these 2 other picks?
And Dan Sheehan
Is this week's grown-ass man.
And we're going to take a quick break and come back with our picks for the 6 Nations and our pick of the week after this. From New York City comes America's longest running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City. Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. And we're back, and we have our picks, our 6 Nations picks. And just to go over the spreads real briefly, France at home, Friday Night Lights, minus 26.5 over Wales. Scotland, minus 19.5 at Murrayfield versus Italy. And Ireland at Aviva in Dublin, minus 7.5 over England. John, who do you like in the France-Wales match?
Obviously, I think France wins this game. It depends if they want to boat race them and run them out of the arena, and I think they probably will. I think they're, Friday Night Lights. They're going to be there. They're playing with the first big Six Nations game. I think France puts it on them, and I think it's all a matter of France's motive in this. If they want to beat them by 30 or 40, they can. and I think they probably will. It's all about what France wants to do. I don't think what Wales wants to do makes any difference whatsoever.
Gift.
I'm going with France. I mean, obviously, we can talk about the devastation of Wales, but I think this is the return of Antoine Dupont into the lineup. Last year, he wasn't there. This year, you get him back. He's got a bone to pick with trying to get his fame all the way up. But more importantly, I think France is really coming in as a unit on this one. This is just an easy game. Nothing has changed in Wales in a year, and that's the saddest part of it all, except for they've sucked. They've gotten worse. So I lied. They've changed. They just deteriorated significantly.
Okay.
They're like you, Matt. They've gotten suckier.
Right. Okay. Mike.
Yeah, I'm with the boys. I think it's not just Dupont returning. They've got Entomac returning as well. So they're halfback pairing it together. Ramos back at fullback. The only bit of downside is Penno is rumoured to be out, the try machine himself. But they still got Biabri on the other wing. So I just think France have got too much power, too much pace, too much strength. Might be tight for the first half because I think the Welsh squad will be competitive, but they'll run out of steam, and I think the French will steamroll them. I think it's 30 or 40.
I agree. The only thing that can hold France back are red cards or yellow cards. No way they don't beat them by that amount of points. The next one up, Scotland at Murrayfield, 19.5 points, favored over Italy. John.
This is two teams that have gotten a lot better in world standings, a lot better as far as their rugby. Scotland is emerging into like a top 6 type team, which they've been before, but they really have gotten better. Italy's gotten a lot better. But I think that Scotland has a little bit of point to prove. They both are trying to make a point here that they're better than what they were just a couple years ago. If Scotland gets running on these guys, I think they're going to blow them out. This is a great line, by the way. I think the 19.5 line, it's a really good line, but I would take Scotland in this to cover that.
Gift.
This Italy team has been young. Last year, we saw them really surprise us with their wins. We thought they would kind of spill over into Benetton and Zebre, and I guess to some extent it has. But I think this year, this team is going to really start to show itself for what it really is. The coach it's a second year for the coach. It's a new year for these new players. I think this is a game that Italy actually covers. I don't think Scotland is going to be able to cover the spread. I think 19.5 is a lot, even on the road. But I do think this is going to be a close game. But I still think Scotland will win. But I think Italy is about to really show people this year that they are not the bottom of the bunch like we thought. Like they've been. Not that we thought. They've been that for 20 plus years now.
Okay. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, fair play. This line's right on. But I think it's all about what Finn Russell does. Ultimately, I think if Finn Russell rocks up, he kicks his goals and he gets that back three going of Darcy Graham, Kinghorn and Van der Merwe, then I think that they could cover it. I'm gonna back Scotland to cover because I think Finn Russell's going to have one of those days, but it's a tough one to call. But yeah, Scotland to win and Scotland to cover because Finn Russell's on fire.
Last March, Italy did beat Scotland 31-29. So there is that. So that might be added incentive for the Scots. I think they turn that into that added incentive, and everything that you said is absolutely right. I think Scotland covers that spread. Then last but not least, Ireland versus England. Probably the match of the weekend. 7.5-point favorites, the Irish at home at Aviva. John.
There's no doubt this is the match of the weekend. Italy and Scotland could be a competitive game. It probably won't be, but this should be. Now, it might not be. Ireland may end up running them out of the stadium, but I don't think they will. England has played really tough at times and above their head at times and showed some incredible grit. I'm going to take England to go into Ireland and cover this. I'm not sure they win. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I think this game's either going to be really close with England has a chance or Ireland's going to blow them out. There's not a chance of it going the other way, I don't think.
Gift.
This has been a very quiet kind of fall or summer, depending on what part of the equator you're on, season for Ireland. But this England team is something that I'm so not sure exactly who they are. There's going to be Mauro Itoje's big chances being captain this year. Just got named captain for England, and I think there's a lot that has to be proven. He's got a new contract. It's a lot of expectation. I think this England team is going to be coming in hard. I don't know. I feel like Ireland is going to sleepwalk through this. I'm actually going to put this on England to cover this through. I don't feel like they are coming in excited like they were the last couple of years. Like there was something to prove. I feel like the Rugby World Cup really has been a downer for them. And even though we're a year and a half, out from it, I'm gonna put England to be able to cover this. Ireland still might win this, but I think this is gonna be closer than 7.5 points.
Mike.
Yeah, I think this is tight old game. I mean, Farrell's not going to be coaching them, so they've got change of coaching setup. Interestingly, Tad Furlong's out of this game as well, so they would have looked for scrum domination. They've just lost probably the best tight head in the world. I think England have the back five to match them for bulk. And I think if England pick the right pack, and the right backs in the right positions, it'll be interesting. But I think Ireland will win, but I don't think they'll cover the 7.5.
Yeah, last year was a 23-22 win for England at Twickenham in a thriller. So this is a tough match to pick. I think Ireland's going to cover the 7.5, and John will be very happy to see me wrong, despite the fact that he's agreeing, aren't you, John?
You just said Ireland will cover the 7.5. No, I went bet the other side. When I bet the other side, that means I don't agree with you.
Valid point.
I say, well, what do you want? I want heads. Okay, I'm choosing tails. I agree with you. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, let's move on then.
That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard since the last dumbest thing I've heard from you.
Let's move on from that then and not dwell on it. Let's go to John's favorite segment, Picks of the Week. Johnny, who do you like?
I like a wild ball game up in Scotland. I hope it is, because I look forward to watching it. I think Italy is going to come running, and I agree with Coach Friday. I think that Finn Russell, that little kick he did a couple weeks ago, a little pooch kick over, was just he did it like it was nothing. That guy is Houdini. I think we're going to have a fun game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Give me the over in Scotland, Italy.
Gift.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at this Ireland-England game. I think this is going to be a very heavy defensive game. If you're talking about a combined points, I think it'll be under 55.
Mike.
Okay, I don't know whether this will be worthwhile having a bet or not, but I would be saying Wales at the half time will be either up or just down. So I don't know what sort of spread they'll give you on the half time between Wales and France, because I think Wales in the first 40 will be able to compete and hang in there, and I just then think the power of France will just overtake it second half. So I'd be looking at that spread at the half time, France Wales, maybe even Wales just either a draw or slightly under, but then France to blow them out full time.
Oh, well, I'm going to go in the opposite direction on that one. I think it's going to be a blowout early, and I think A, France scores the first try of the match, and B, they're up at least 15 points at halftime.
Does that mean we agree? Does that mean we agree?
All right. Friday's mic has been muted as we step out of here. On that note, I want to thank John Bradshaw Layfield, the WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words, world-renowned Sevens coach Mike Friday, who's been silenced, and Irish rugby legend George Hook. And thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including MLR Weekly. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. Tell your friends about us, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.
2 Cents Rugby, save us. Save us. Life preserver. Throw us a life preserver, 2 Cents Rugby. We're drowning with this moron.
Save us.